Hello, welcome to Plebcast, where I, a pleb, will talk to you about Bitcoin, the price of things, the price of cars, cryptocurrencies, other currencies, stocks, precious metals, and just news and stuff in general. So I am here to give my opinion on things, and I know that you're so excited about that. But here, let me dive in, and hopefully, I'll provide, at least an additional anecdotal portion of value to your everyday onslaught of Bitcoin news and crypto hearsay. So, I have pulled up on the screen here a chart of Bitcoin, and let me run through this real quick. So the big blue square is the where the Bitcoin ETFs were initially launched, the peak at which they spiked up to in price, and then it goes up to where we currently are in price, and then this kind of shows you the number of days and the price percentage gain and the dollar amount. So we are still 36% above the maximum highest point at which the ETFs were launched to today. Now, the takeaway from that is I don't think BlackRock or Fidelity or any of the other ETF issuers are going to let their ETFs go down in value, which will mean that they won't sell enough Bitcoin so that Bitcoin will start falling in value below this bottom point here. I think 49K is the now absolute rock bottom. I would be very surprised if we ever saw that again, but I have been very surprised many times in Bitcoin's history, so that's not saying much. The two red lines are the top red line is the previous all-time high at 74K, and the one below it is our previous cycle all-time high at roughly just 69K. So we're hovering just underneath that range right there, which is a very good place to be in my opinion. And we're not overextended like we would be back over in here in this area. And we've been consolidating for over 3 months now, basically. I mean, I would almost consider back to January. I mean, yeah, there's a lot. This move was really strong right about here, but when you really start to think about it, this area right here, so, late February would be, where I would consider sideways action to start. So, still roughly 4 or 5-ish months, So then you've got this orange line here, which was the halving line on 419, almost made it to 420, but depending on what time zone you're in, I guess. And then the black lines here are 30 days, and I believe this one is 90 days. Maybe I have that backwards. Maybe I have this one at 90 days, and this one's at 180 days. Yeah, that's what it is. Past the Bitcoin ETF launch. So there are a number of companies that have to do their due diligence and, provide their information to their board of directors as to why Bitcoin would be a good investment for them. Such in case as the Wisconsin Board of Education, I believe it was, that voted to allow Bitcoin as part of their, their pension fund or something like that. Or it was the state of Wisconsin or something. I don't know. But there are a number of publicly traded and entities that have to provide publicly available documents to everybody else that are showing now, since the ETFs have launched, just how many of them have that. And let me just pull something up real quick just to kind of show you. I like this website, bitcointreasuries.net. And it really lists out all of the companies here that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. You obviously have, these are publicly traded companies. You have MicroStrategy up here at the top with 214,000 Bitcoin. And Marathon Digital Holdings at number 2 with, I bet you they released that in their recently quarterly earnings report. Almost 18,000 Bitcoin. Tesla still hodling underneath 10,000 Bitcoin, and then you have everyone else down here. And you even have, let's see, you have got all the ETFs that are listed right there. iShares, the BlackRock ETF, is listed at number 1. Grayscale still at number 2, and Fidelity at number 3. And then you've got all your runners up right there. Those are all publicly traded, listed entities, funds that you can get into. And then you've got private companies like Block One, still Mt. Gox. Surprised to see that, but this really kind of shows you a breakdown of all the country. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention countries. Even China has 190,000 Bitcoin. The United States still has 213,000 Bitcoin. So the U.S. has over 1% of the total Bitcoin supply, and they have not let go of it. They've sold off some in the past. Yes, here you can see a few of the times that they sold. I believe to Tim Draper a couple of times in the past. So, but they have not sold since early 2024, 2023 area. So looking back at price, we've been through crab market before so many times. Yeah. So this, the past year was a slow crawl upwards, from in 2023. But if you go from 2023 at 16, 17K all the way up to where we are now, we're up, roughly over 300% from the bottom of 2023. So it's hard to complain being in this position right now, but you have a lot of people that do complain and love to complain, but we try to stay positive on the Plebcast. Moving on, if you're a silver investor, as I also am, it's hard, but things are looking good up, in that sort of generalish direction. If you go back to we are still not past the 1980 high. If you adjust it for inflation, we need to be at like $150 to $200, and realistically, we should be at like $1,000. But it is what it is. But since about 2002, 2004, silver really has taken on a life of its own. And if you were an early adopter or investor around it, $4-ish an ounce, being up to $30 an ounce, that's pretty good returns, safe-ish returns if you consider precious metals to be safe. Gold, I believe, also hit a recent all-time high. This was, let's see, year to date. Yeah. So that was at the end of May. So just a couple of weeks ago, really, at $2,500 an ounce. Good for gold. Good for them. Finally, getting some price action after all this time. But they are really still not like. You'd think the price performance would be a lot greater, but then the people that have a lot of gold have a lot of gold. So when it goes up by a 0.01%, they make, hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. Like Peter Schiff, he's not a poor man. He is he's a gold salesman. He sells gold, and he'll take your Bitcoin for it too. So he's just there for the likes and everything on Twitter. So anyway, moving on to a couple anecdotal articles that I saw on CoinDesk. Drake seems to be bad at placing bets, and using $1 million Bitcoin could be up for losses to him. Drake will be just fine. I would assume that somebody told him, or he knows or is smart enough not to do this, to put all of his money on a bet that could potentially go south. So I'm sure he will be just fine. But it's because something like the Oilers, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Dallas Mavericks are both down 3-0 after another round of losses. Drake bet $500,000 in each team. So $1 million in Bitcoin, good for him. I don't even know what site you use to bet with your Bitcoin, but if I were you, I would not use your Bitcoin as leverage, as collateral for anything. Once you obtain your Bitcoin, you should buy your Bitcoin, and you should take it off of whatever platform that you bought it off, via an exchange or an app, or maybe somebody gave you some, or that you earned through your small business that somebody sent to you for your goods or services. You should take that Bitcoin, and then you should put it into a wallet that you own and is yours, and you should make a new address every single time. You should know where the seed phrase is for that wallet. You should keep it secure. Ideally, it should be stamped on a metal plate, and you should also memorize it. That way, in case you lose the metal plate, you don't fret too much. You should, recite it to yourself daily. That way, if something happens to that metal plate or your seed phrase that you have written down somewhere, you have it in your head to begin with. So, and then lastly, our good old friend Michael Saylor is doubling, tripling, quadrupling, septupling, heptupling, decadupling down on Bitcoin. So he recently had put out a convertible note offering of $500 million, but then has increased it on Friday by another $200 million to $700 million. And we all know what he's going to do with it. He's going to buy more Bitcoin, put it on their balance sheet, and look like a genius in like 18 months. So y'all, you really need to get your head in the game and really understand where we are right now. I have been in the crypto Bitcoin games since 2017, mid to late 2017. And I have just stacked, a little bit every now and then for the past 6, 8, 9-ish years, something like that. I guess it's more, I can't do math on the fly. Anyway, I was working, at a liquor store making $15 an hour as a supervisor. So, I had to make some changes in my life, but I definitely got myself into a better situation, and I've worked very hard to obtain more Bitcoin the right way, just by buying it on the open market, as every week, sometimes every day, when I can, and just stacked and got into a really good position. So that's why I'm here to tell you that no matter what your goals are, that as long as you have just make a plan, just sit down, write out all the things that are required for you to achieve your goal, and then just, maybe even make micro little lists under each one of those things. And if you can just check off those little things as you do them, then that gets you that much closer to your overall end result goal. So that's how you accomplish things in a very structured manner. There are people that have different approaches to how they achieve their goals. I am going to show y'all, that's how I do it, is how I achieve my goal. I don't really write them down, but I definitely think through it a whole lot. I overthink things to an obsessive degree. When I jump into things, it's usually like when I got into Bitcoin, the reason why I got into Bitcoin was I didn't understand a whole lot of anything other than the set supply. Once I understood, I didn't quite understand the full functionality in the very beginning of how Bitcoin had a set supply, but I understood that it had a set supply, and that part of its whole value proposition was that because this set supply could not be altered, the double spend problem. So once I understood, and I had previously, I've gone to college and I took basic economics, and I took economics in high school as well. And no one ever really I guess we glossed over these sort of principles, but no one really ever hammered it down in my head. But I always remembered from college that the supply demand curves, if there is a inelastic or an elastic supply, and then that will be reflected in the amount of demand for it. So if there's a whole lot of supply, then potentially, even if there is a lot of demand for it, the demand will eventually be satiated, and it will no longer, the people just can't keep up with the amount of supply that could be produced or allowed onto the market. Which is why I always had a hard time with investing in stocks, is because I knew that companies could always increase the number of authorized shares and put them outstanding onto the market and sell them and raise capital. That's what companies do. GameStop has recently done that. And knowing that, and then also that basic economic principle of, if you have limited supply, and in my head, if you have any demand for a limited supply, then the price has to just go up forever if there's any demand at all, because it's limited. And because Bitcoin has a distribution algorithm that sets out, so many Bitcoin are mined every 10 minutes or so on average, there's a set amount that will come out to the market, because it's not all out here at once. It's harder for that demand to influence price because of the supply that comes out onto the market as the price keeps going up. But as you can see, we've been consolidating here for quite some time now. So with the amount that has been taken off of the market from the exchanges like Coinbase, I should pull up a chart on that, but I don't quite have it ready on me. What I'm saying though is that because there is a distribution rate of Bitcoin, because it's not out all in the market all at once, the price appreciation because of the demand onto this limited supply, it's still negated by the fact that there's more supply coming onto the market. So that's what keeps the price sort of negated for a little bit. And we have these periods after the halving. If you just look at the halving, we've only really been going sideways for like 2 months. So I should mark them on here, but other halving periods have, gone sideways, I believe, for longer than that. So, but we have been in a long consolidation period of sideways movement. There's only a limited number of days before something will happen. Something will happen, y'all. So we can only hope, but limited supply, any demand at all, and we are going to see fireworks here very soon. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.